Sí, buenas tardes. Sí, licenciado, le estoy llamando en referencia para nuestra cita esta tarde. Pues vamos a darle hasta abajo. Vamos a darle hasta abajo bien duro. Sí, eso es así, licenciado. Eso es así. Vamos a ir hasta abajo. Hasta abajo en la aventura. En la aventura espacial. La aventura espacial conocida como la vida. Únete a nuestro equipo, licenciado. Únete. Bueno, ya vas a ver. Verás cuando llegues a la cita y veas todo lo maravilloso que hay en esta nave llamada Voyager OZ 13MS. Móntate aquí y no miren más para atrás. Pues eso es así, licenciado. Nos vemos allá a la misma hora, ya usted sabe. Y vamos a ir hasta abajo.
Dímelo, Corillo. Ha sido un par de tiempo. Yo no sé si han sido ya unos cuantos meses. No, I haven't been keeping track of time. So today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing some Spanglish action. Un poquito de Spanglish por ahí, ya tú sabes, un poquito de inglés, un poquito de español. Today we have a very special guest. A beautiful man close to my heart. My cousin, Michael Morales.
What's up? What's up? Going on, world?
Dímelo, primo. How you
Dímelo,
doing?
dímelo. I'm doing good, man. Hanging in there. It's a little hot, but hanging in there.
Oh, tell me about it, man. Over here in Miami, the heat. I know the summer's here and the heat is always pretty hot, but con cada año se va poniendo más caliente. It keeps getting hotter and hotter, man.
You guys got the humidity too, man. I don't miss that Florida heat at all.
Yeah, the humidity is killer, man. The same in Puerto Rico. That's really where the heat comes from. It doesn't really get like California hot, like that really dry. It's just so humid because it rained a little bit and then the sun's right there boiling you up.
That's where it gets super hot right after those rains. So you guys are getting what, hurricane season? So it's raining like every day now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been raining. But right now it's taking a break, but yeah, it rains for a couple of days and it's sunny, rains again. But yeah, here in summer it's weird because it's rains a lot.
Yeah, hurricane season. How was that first one for you guys? Did you guys get hit at all, or
The hurricane? No, we didn't. We didn't have anything. We had a couple of winds here, but I don't know. No como María. En María estábamos en Puerto Rico. We were in Puerto Rico. Me and Mildred.
I remember Maria.
We were living in this house, and the window came open, like it busted open because the lock wasn't there or something. So I had to improvise. Yo tenía una pijama. I had some pajamas, and I took out the string that holds the pajamas, like the cord that you tie around your waist.
Yeah.
So I had to take that out of the pajamas and tie and use that to hold the window together. But the thing is that the pajamas were my dad's, and you know my dad, he's giant, he's really big. So at some point, I was literally just naked holding the window for like a couple of hours. It was just me and Mildred, but I couldn't do anything because the pajamas just kept falling. So I was just like, "Fuck it."
Listen, you can't say you really went through a hurricane unless you're butt naked holding a window closed.
Yeah. That's the life, man. Life in the island tropics. the tropical life.
That's life, man.
All right, my cousin, my brother from another mother. So I want to
Alright.
give the people here some context. First off, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what you like, what you dislike.
Well, I'm name's Michael, like JT said, cousins. So what? Your mom and my dad are siblings.
Yeah.
My dad being the only male of the three siblings.
Touche, yeah, because it was two sisters and
So,
one man, one
yeah.
brother.
So dad. So yeah, man. You know what I keep thinking too is me and Grandpa were talking about it before he passed. He was telling me, he's like, Mike, you kind of like pointed it out. He's like, you're the last Morales of like the family.
Touche.
He's
That's
like,
true,
you're the
because
last.
we're all Taurus.
Yeah, you got you guys are Tauruses.
I got my
Gabby.
Morales right. I always use my
Yeah.
Morales. Every time I put my name anywhere, I always put Torres Morales. Got two last names. I ain't got only one.
But yeah, so I think I always kind of like think of that a lot and kind of
Yeah,
laugh a little
that's
bit.
true, bro. You're the last
So I'm like,
of the Morales. You
yeah, so I'm like, I
you
better
gotta have offspring. You gotta bring us some babies.
at least, yeah, if I ever have kids, at least one of them's gotta be a son. So keep it alive.
Gotta keep the lineage.
But yeah, no man, yeah, Michael, it's the name. From was born in Puerto Rico, lived there for the first 4 years of my life. Then we moved to me and my mom moved to Florida when I was
Right.
a kid.
Right. You moved to
Yeah,
Orlando, right?
yeah, Orlando, yeah. Dad came with us for a little bit, but he
Really?
just didn't like it. Yeah, he didn't like it.
Okay.
He didn't. So he went back and that was that, and he's been back in the island for ever since. And yeah, so raised in Florida, in Orlando. Graduated high school in 2009. Went to work for the theme parks. After
Right.
that, literally like right after graduating. Um,
But
took
you
a
were
break.
also back and forth, right, between Orlando and Puerto Rico. Because I remember you and Gabriel, our other cousin, Rosia, would come for summer times, and you
Yeah,
even spent a couple of years, right, studying
yeah,
here and
yeah.
there.
There was 2 years I studied in Puerto Rico. Well, three technically if you count that year that I was in college down there.
All right, because you were in college too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I did second grade and I started sixth grade in Orlando. I did like the first 2 months literally in Orlando, and then I mom just decided to go to Puerto Rico for a bit, and then she came back to Orlando, kept me there, and I finished sixth grade in Puerto Rico. So
Okay.
that was that. Yeah,
Oh,
I
so
did
you
second grade.
originally went to Puerto Rico with your mom, and then she went back,
Yeah,
but she left.
yeah,
She left you there in Puerto Rico to finish sixth grade.
yeah. Yeah, so kind of like her and dad just had an agreement, and I just stayed with dad for the remainder of the school year. And yeah, because he was like it doesn't make sense having him jump back and forth. He started in Orlando for 2 months, then you gotta bring him to Puerto Rico to finish the semester, and then have him go back to Orlando the second semester. I'm like,
Yeah. How was that for
that's
you? It sounds like it's a little bit rough.
I mean, it was, but it's like I was in sixth grade, so I mean, they kind of as parents they kind of did a good job keeping all that kind of stuff separate with adults. I mean, kind of like sheltered from sixth grade, a sixth grader. So it's like I didn't really understand. I don't really understand as a kid. I understand like too much what was going on. I just knew like okay, when I was doing the whole vacation down there, I didn't understand a whole lot of like the parent like fights that was going on, but um, I just okay, I get to hop on a plane and go see my family, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I gotta say, it was the same thing for me in our childhood. And I think our family really did a good job of doing that, right? Like keeping it, behind the scenes or not like in front of our eyes, or at least
yeah.
maybe we were just oblivious. But
Well, no,
I
that
never really like noticed any of that because every family has
Yeah.
situations,
But
tensions, things change. And like, for example, for us, dad was in the first part, he talked about it in the podcast too, where he would spend most of the nights just start drinking with the friends. And I personally, maybe Jay, Fetty, Yankee,
yeah,
maybe he was older, so maybe he might have felt more of it. But for me, I never even noticed that. I know that dad wasn't there for a little, it wasn't that long. It was just a couple of years in time. But I always thought he was just working late.
yeah,
A lot of things what's going on behind the scenes. They even almost got a divorce at some point, everything, and they worked it out. But like, because you hear about stories and you hear about all these situations, I never felt like affected me at least like in a big way, maybe a little bit, but everything worked out and everything was fine. And I yeah, it wasn't an issue for me, maybe because we were young.
yeah. That's
Was
true.
it
I
the same
mean,
for you?
it was. I mean, you don't really think much about like the hard. I mean, like I said, all you kind of think about is, oh, great, you get taken to the airport. Yeah, I get to go see my cousins, and then that's
Yeah,
done.
exactly. Every
Get to hang out all summer. That's great. That's literally all that went through my mind. It's like, oh, great, I get to see dad, get to see grandparents and the cousins, and before then you get to talk with Gabe down in Orlando too, and oh yeah, I'm
Yeah,
going to Puerto Rico this
exactly.
summer too. It's like, oh great, we're all gonna meet up
Oh
together.
yeah, that was the
Yeah,
cool part where we would basically have good timing. We would all be together. And I remember it was so fun those times because normally me and my brothers, we would always be in the island and always have that, I don't know how you say it, the dynamic in Puerto Rico, I guess. And so whenever you guys would come by, I remember it was always so fun. It was always a treat. Maybe it was because of that, the fact that you guys weren't always there. It's more like a rarity, like a couple of times a year. Summertime and Christmas time, and even Sam and Jay too, our other cousin from
yeah.
from my dad's family. It was the same. Even he and all of us, Carlos and all of the cousins, we all got together. It was like this
From
big mild touch of
from
cousins.
from both from both sides of the family, man. You got your
Yeah.
cousins from yeah, and that's
We were all
insane too.
contemporaries. That's why it worked.
That's pretty cool too. It's I got to hang out with you guys a lot from family and cousins from that side. Then I got to visit my mom's side of the family too down there, and my cousins from their side. Uh, I knew he was. I have my oldest cousin that I still talk to a lot from mom's
Yeah.
side. Is
Cool.
yeah,
What's his
he's
name?
still down there. Giovanni. He used to play baseball a lot when he was growing up too. So I got to hang out, and
Cool.
that's where I found my love of baseball and everything. So I got to hang out with everybody, man. It was fun hanging out with people my age.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That was the cool part, is that we were all mostly like closely related in the age wise, like if anything we only had like a couple of years difference, 1 or 2 or 3 years difference, but didn't really stop us from getting together and having a good
Yeah,
time. And our family, man, our family is a beautiful family, I gotta say. You
yeah
also
it's
have,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I was gonna say it's awesome to keep in touch too. Like after all these years, man, well into our 30s, and we're we're still keeping in touch.
yeah. I don't do a good job with that because I'm always like just busy with my own stuff, trying to get my life
Yeah,
together. Right now,
yeah,
I'm
but
going through a little transitional period, so to speak. But yeah, I forget, I forget to give calls, send messages, things like that. I'm just not. It's not. I'm not used to doing that type of thing. But I always think about you guys. I always think about you, Gabriel, Sam J, Carlos, Jorgito, our grandparents, you know. Abuela
Yeah.
Carmín, Abuelo Chichi, Abuela Iri, Abuelo Hutin. Even some of them aren't here, but I always think about them, our uncles, your mom. She's really nice. She's always been so nice to me and to our family. And I always
Yeah,
think about them. I always carry them in my heart.
yeah. Just mom always thinks about you guys too. She always tells me. We always talk about this. Like, yeah, I actually showed her the podcast we did with the Juan Carlo the other day, and
Yeah.
I told her like you should sit down and watch it, Rob. It's like you haven't seen them in like years. That's what they look like now. And she sat through there. So I think she was a little busy, so she couldn't sit through the whole like hours of it. But
Yeah, it's a long.
but,
It
but
takes
she
a
but
while.
she managed to yeah she managed to see a lot. And she's like, oh my god, like he's like your dad looks so he looks the same. He hasn't like aged a bit.
He looks
You
better
know,
actually now than
yeah.
what you did before.
He's like yeah. I'm like they all look the same. Neither one of her uncles like they look the same. They haven't aged a bit. I think we're the ones that are like they say. I think we're the ones that are getting older.
Yeah.
But she always says that you guys are her nephews and nieces.
Yeah, of course. That would never change.
But
Same for us,
yeah, she,
It's cool.
she,
It's
talk,
cool.
she always talks about Monica too, like her being the oldest, like the girl in the cousin, like the range. And she always talks about uh how she used to get in trouble when she was a kid for like all the makeup she used to wear and all this.
Yeah,
So
Monica had it tough too. Now that I think about it, she was like
yeah,
surrounded by boys everywhere.
yeah, she was like the oldest, and I think we had the last one. Rocio was the last one that was
Yeah,
born, and
Rocio.
that kind of alleviated a little bit. But other than that,
Yeah,
it's all
definitely.
good.
But you also have a sister as well, right? I haven't met her.
Yeah,
What's her
I have
name?
Ariana, my youngest sister.
Ariana? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I got two older sisters from like my stepdad. Had two
Okay,
daughters from like, but
cool.
they're my sisters.
Wow, man, the
Like,
family just keeps expanding. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
so um, so so
That's
then
awesome.
I get to tell people a lot that I'm the only male out of four. There's, there's four of us, and
Touche. Hey,
so like
man,
the irony in that.
you can't always have it, the other way around. You gotta have some variety, some balance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. All right. So, what can you tell us about what you're doing now? You're doing anything right now? Anything like what are you doing now? You working?
Yeah, I am. I came up here. I actually ended up moving to Michigan. Kind of going back to a little story about myself here. So I was raised in Florida. Uh, Went to Puerto Rico for like a year after theme parks to pursue my college career. Got an associate degree in mechanic. Became a mechanic. Came back. Worked for a dealership for a couple of months, and the pay was just it wasn't great at a dealership. And then Universal was like, hey, you wanna come back? Got a job with them. Pay was a lot better, and
Is that what's after,
yeah,
right? Because you already worked with them before.
I worked with Disney before,
Oh, all right.
and
You were
yeah, so I worked with Disney for a couple years. Then I came back in 2015, and yeah, Christmas of 2015 I think it was, and then
okay.
summer of 2016 I started at Universal and did that for a couple of years, and then COVID hit, and a lot of us
Yeah,
were
man.
laid off, and I had a couple of friends that lived up in Michigan, and they're like, hey man, you're more than welcome to move up here with us for a little bit, and there's a company that's hiring, almost $15 an hour, and took that and got hired, and within like a couple of days I was up here and started working there, and we didn't end up working out, but that's just like a whole story.
Yeah, everything moves
Yeah,
so fast, right?
You know,
Like,
sometimes things happen, and you know you're forced to make decisions and kind of work your way around like life, and you sometimes you sit down and you think back, and I'm like, wow, all this happened within like a year, you know, and so
for
now
sure, man.
I'm at Planet Fitness overnight and working for a gym, and you know sometimes it's not the ideal situation to be at, you know, like you think, oh, I got such like an amazing job, and you go from like that to like, you know, working at a gym, and it's not a bad job. It's a great gig, and it also got me an excuse to start working out and kind of live healthier and whatnot. So that's that, and you know, you just gotta be thankful for everything you get sometimes, and
Yeah,
hey,
man.
it could be worse. It could be, you know, unemployed,
And
you know, homeless.
everything's temporary too, you know? Like
Yeah,
at first it might seem like, oh, I might work here or I don't want to work there. But like a year, 2 years, 3 years, hell, 10 years, they go like that, man. Time goes really
that's,
fast,
that's true.
and
And
you
who
gotta
knows
be not like fake positive, but like you gotta be like positive, like real positive. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
don't like fake positivity. I like real positivity because es como decía papi.
Um,
This is a good phrase, and he always does los refranes. You know, say you know the refranes, those
the
phrases.
saying, the
Yeah, the
quotes.
sayings. So he has this saying. It's not his, but he tells me this. How are you gonna win the lottery if you never play a ticket?
Exactly. It's,
And
you know,
it's
you
very
gotta
simple. It's like very simple logic. It's like es como dice, ¿cómo tú esperas ganar la loto si nunca juegas, nunca lo juegas, si nunca juegas una vez? Y es como
you know,
it's so simple. It's like, and it's the same. It's what I mean by positivity. It's
uh,
not that you have to be fake positive, but if you aren't even positive, or if you aren't even trying to look forward to what you're gonna do, then what's the point of even? You're not gonna even try. You're not gonna get anything.
there's another thing that I kind of just swear by and live by every day. It's I want to say it was Michael Jordan that said it. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this.
Okay.
It's but the thing is you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, and it's essentially it's the same as the lottery ticket. It's like you don't. How do you gonna win if you never?
Yeah, it's the same principle. It's the same.
Yeah,
It's pretty much the same ideal. It's exactly the same thing. You're gonna miss 100% of the shot that you don't take. Is that what? Is that what it says?
it's not what it. It's that's how it
How
goes.
does it go again? Sorry.
It's you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Right.
So it's essentially it's if you don't take risks, you're never gonna find that success in it, you know, in anything. So it's like sometimes you just gotta take a risk and hope for the best, man. And
Yeah, and
hopefully,
just move forward too. Just moving forward, because sometimes, like for me right now, like that's my situation right now. I'm gonna be honest. I've been moving forward, moving forward, moving forward, and right now I'm in a transitional point where I'm not sure what's gonna happen. You know, it's not nothing bad or anything, but I might have to move out. I'm back. I'm not sure, but if I let myself, get down now because of this or whatever, if I don't keep, producing the podcast, like the podcast has been in a break for a couple of months. I have been very busy on my main channel, AntaresVasto, my main YouTube channel. I've been very, very busy with that and been very, very active. But yeah, I don't want to go back, no matter what happens on my situation, like with life and job and economic situation or whatever, the career or whatever.
yeah,
You have to keep moving, you have to keep producing, you have to keep, have to keep making, because if not, um how can I expect to get out of this situation? How can I expect to move forward? How can I expect to expand? Like expand the podcast, expand the channel, and I have a new project also where I'm working with all of our friends. Mildred, Rumil, Christian. So we're all doing different things. Rumil has his own podcast as well. So we're forming like this group, like a virtual magazine, or we're just
Yeah.
going to promote each other's businesses. Si tú tienes alguna cuenta que quisieras promocionar, un Instagram, un Facebook, algún negocio, whatever, you can hit me up too y te
Yeah.
metemos ahí, tú sabes.
No problem. I'm honestly just too busy sometimes to make accounts, but I'll let you know. And
No,
anybody,
if you're doing anything, if si tú tienes algo que quisieras promocionar o quisieras hacer, pues, you let me know, you hit me up.
gotcha. I'll let you know, man. But honestly, man, it's you're doing good. You're doing pretty good. So you just kind of keep moving, keep on keeping on, and
And I gotta
and
say, you too, man. Tú eres un ejemplo para seguir. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen desde que, ever since you were in Puerto Rico, studying too in the college. And, all of us have had it, rough. We've all had our challenges, and,
yeah,
but it's good to see you, making progress. It's good to see
yeah,
you, porque a veces, I think too much. I have a problem where I think too much. I go around in circles a lot and I lose a lot of time. Sometimes I see in you where it's like you just get shit done. You know what I'm saying? It's like we gotta do this shit. All right, let's go. We gotta get
you
this
know,
job. All right, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? There's
trust
no
me,
point in wasting time.
it's that's how I see it. But sometimes I'll tell you, I'll be completely honest. I'll overthink a lot of these situations way more than I need to. Like this move that I did up here, I was like, listen, I was like, I was terrified of just. So one day I just woke up and I'm like, I just gotta pack my car and drive. And I was terrified of doing it. And you get people, you
And
get
you drove all the way up there?
I drove all the way up here. I just
Wow.
got in my car and just drove 17 hours up here. Uh, and I was terrified. It scared the hell out of me, dude. I'm like, look, man, but it's what it is. It's the thought of I was raised here in Florida. Okay, I literally got my whole family, other than family I got in Puerto Rico. I got my parents. I got aunts and uncles. I also got cousins up here. I don't have anybody in Michigan, dude. Like I came up here and I didn't know a single person up here, and that scared the hell out of me. I was like, I'm gonna leave everybody that I know in
That's
Florida.
scary feeling.
I stayed that I was essentially raised at since the age of 4. I
Wow.
was 30, so like 26 years living in the state,
Yeah,
to
it's
a state
pretty
that
much all you know, all
I've
you
never
knew.
even. Yeah, it's like I'm going somewhere where I've never visited before in my life, let alone know anybody. Just and that's just and like you know what? And then I was driving up here, hitting all the different states, and I was like, this is. I kept telling myself, I'm like, this can be a new beginning. This can just be like, God knows what kind of doors this is gonna open.
New
Where you're
chapter.
gonna see. It's a new chapter, and this is just gonna open doors. It's either this or just I much rather is it do a new beginning or live in Florida for the rest of my life, living in a what if state. Like what if I would have moved up there? What if I would have
Yeah.
taken that new job? What would have
Yeah,
happened?
that the
And
what ifs really bother. If it really like, because sometimes it's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna bother with that. Like, for example, when when the whole Full Sail thing was presented to me and my brother, Betty, Jay was all on that. Like, he went with it, and he did great. He did great. He did his best. But for me, it was like, and I was really determined to do it. But for me, it was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna do this. And it wasn't like a what if, it was more like a, yeah, I'm really clear that there's different ways, to take this path, but this is not what I want to do. And unless you're really clear on that, then you should go and take it. You should go and experiment. You should go and take the risk. You know what I mean?
exactly. There's a difference between taking there's a difference between taking risk and making stupid decisions. You
Right.
know, like in your, let's say for in your case and in Jay's case, like Jay went to wholesale, right, and he gave it a try, and it didn't work out for whatever reasons.
Half of the
Um,
term, yeah.
yeah,
It was just
so
it's a tough program, you know.
yeah,
Nobody can make it, but
and
he did
yeah,
great, man. He did fucking great.
but you know what is he gave it a try and he decided, okay, maybe this isn't working out, but now he doesn't have to live with okay, what
Exactly.
if I never would have taken this, or you know, it's he gave it a try and it didn't work out. In your
Right.
case with you, and you're different because of the fact that you knew for a fact, okay,
Yeah,
that's definitely not the right
I
move.
didn't have to go through the process of
Yeah,
like realizing, yeah, no, it because it didn't bother me as much. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It was like once it was presented to me, it was like, no, I don't want this. But
yeah.
in difference in perspective, when the time I went to California, it was just like you. I was working at the workshop in La Escuela,
Uh-huh.
and this lady, Carmen de la Paz,
Uh-huh.
she was still coming down a little bit from the time that she did a couple of did Hammerheads. These are like home renovation shows, things
Yeah.
like that. And the last that she was doing, she was a carpenter in the show called Homemade Simple. And right after she finished recording, I think it was the first season or the season that she was in, she came by to Puerto Rico because she was doing an event in Taya la Escuela, and she was doing like
I,
some
I remember
connections
that.
with Rene. Yeah, and it was all with her wood turning because she was an amazing wood turner. And she was there. I met her. She liked my energy and she liked how I worked. And she was like, "Hey, you want to go with me to California? I need somebody. I need an assistant. I need somebody to help me work." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it." And it was the same feeling like you. It was a very scary feeling because it was like I'm gonna go not just go somewhere where I don't have anybody, but I'm gonna go to the other corner of the world.
Like the other spectrum of of the United States.
Yeah.
That's like two different flights almost.
But I have to say, like, if I had the choice, I would do it all over again. It was
Oh,
completely
definitely,
worth it. It
definitely.
didn't work. It didn't work out in the sense that I didn't find anything that at the time, right? Because you know, California is a very expensive place to live. It's a tough place.
Yeah.
So I didn't find anything for me at the time, but I loved it. You know, there, I loved the dynamic, but I didn't really get to enjoy it as much because of that limitations. But it was awesome, man. It was a life changing experience, you know, and that first step of like living by yourself, you know, of trying to be independent. And I almost burned the house down like 3 times, 4 times.
And, and you know what you learn
It's
too
pretty bad.
is
I'm sorry, Carmen.
yeah, Carmen, it's okay. You still have your house. Your house is still standing. Uh, but you know what I learned is you grow spiritually and you grow as a person. And
That's
sometimes
true.
it's you know what I kind of go back and I want to give this little part to my parents. Anybody's parents who tell you that TV never teaches you anything.
Mhm.
So you remember I don't know if you remember, but I used to watch the show when I was a kid, when we were younger. You know Boy Meets World, right?
Oh
You remember
yeah,
that show?
definitely, dude. Boy
Okay,
Meets World.
okay. And a lot of people remember that
Fuck
show.
yeah,
So
dude.
you remember there's an episode where like the actors are older and they're like at that college state.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
love that. I love
yeah,
those.
they're like at the it's
I
towards the end of the series.
remember
Um,
the redhead, the really tall one. Oh,
yeah.
she was so
There's a she was. Um,
tall.
but
Childhood crushes, man.
yeah. But there's a scene where I mean this has been when Corey and Topanga were getting married and all this stuff, and she wants to go to New York.
Okay.
Obviously, Corey goes to Mr. Feeney because Mr. Feeney had like all the life teachings
Oh yeah, Mr.
and
Feeney, Mr.
everything.
Feeney. Yeah, he's like the
Right.
grandpa of the group.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Mr. Feeney. Oh, that series is so good, dude.
and
God
there
damn
was
it.
a he
So
was using
good.
a metaphor in that one scene, and I was like, I took that to heart, and I was like,
Okay.
we can literally use this in like life. And he was talking about how Corey was a little bit scared of making that move and whatnot, and
Right.
so was the kind of like what you and I are going through now, like living in different states and stuff. Um, he he looks at a flower, right, and they're standing in his garden, and they're looking at a flower that he's got in this big pot, and they're growing big and all this
I
stuff,
think I
right?
remember this scene.
And he's
Keep going.
I don't remember exactly what he was saying, but he was talking a little bit about it's like you see, he points at one of the flowers. Like you remember this flower, how it started in a little pot, little itty bitty pot, and it was so small, but then I had to move it out here. And then when I was taking it out of the pot, it kind of resisted a little bit. But then I put it out here in this bigger pot so it can keep growing. And Corey was like, yeah, because if you would have left it at your pot, it would have died. And Mr. Finney was like, no, because if I would have left it in that little pot that it got so used to, knowing since it started growing, it would have just gotten to the point where it would have stopped growing, like, and all that stuff. It's like sometimes you got to make that big move to somewhere bigger, somewhere that you're not familiar with, so you can keep growing as like a human being. And so I was like, I looked at that,
Damn.
I was like that, I was like,
That's
so,
deep.
I was like, man, sometimes these shows hit harder and than you think, and
Bro, I
you're like, I'm like, yeah, Mr. Feeney was ahead of his time, dude.
no, for sure, dude. For sure. Mr.
Bro,
Feeney was like
it's like
the god of wisdom.
I was like, I'm like, this guy was ahead of his time. And I was like, damn,
No, bro, but back
that's true.
then, I'm not sure now because I don't watch too much television now. I
Yeah.
mainly watch like internet, like videos and whatnot. But there was a lot of shows, dude, that would teach you. Even SpongeBob, dude, they had moral, like
Yo,
moraleja. They had a moraleja. They had a teaching.
like,
There was always a
yeah, like,
teaching in these stories. There was always a lesson to be learned. Always,
oh yeah,
always. And movies too, dude. Movies. I remember like it impacted me so much, emotionally, and I think it's one of the things that made me develop a lot of empathy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I know that's something that revolves in our family, because of how we were raised. All of us have a lot of empathy. I know that, but I don't know, man. It helped me so much at Breakfast Club, dude. Breakfast Club, that movie.
I love that movie.
That movie for me is like I identify so much with that movie, and it teaches you so much, because and that look how old it is, how many years it is, and we're still you look today and we're still doing the same things. We're still acting the same way pretty much, you know. And that movie just takes whatever reality you formed, grabs it and completely twists it and shatters it, and then reopens it, and shows you this is this is real. You know what I mean? This is what real life is. You know what I mean? And it's like, because we portray these personalities, or we portray these forms that we so-called are, like popular kids or whatnot. But at the end of the day, we're all human. We're all the same. We all have the same feelings. We all want the same thing. You know what I mean? And
We're all trying to reach the same goal, man. It's the
exactly.
same thing of becoming better than we were yesterday.
Yeah.
It's sometimes we don't want to accept it, but that's the goal for everybody. It's just becoming better than we were yesterday.
Yeah.
Taking it day by day, and it's always the goal. It's always just to be better ourselves, and just keep moving forward.
Indeed, cousin. That's what it's all about. And just to have fun, really. Have fun with life.
It is.
And
If you don't, yeah, if you don't have fun while you're at it, then you're not doing it right. Then
All
what's
right.
the point?
So we've been now almost 40 minutes. How do you feel? How you
I
feeling?
feel good. I
Want
feeling
to keep
good. Feeling
going
pretty
a
good.
little bit more?
Yeah, yeah.
Whenever you feel like you're tired, whenever you feel like you do something else, you let me know, all right?
Okay.
So
I got
let's,
you, man.
now that we've broken the ice a little bit, let's talk about that. Let's talk about fun. What do you like to do for fun? What
You
does Big
know,
Mike like?
I'm still kind of trying to learn that about myself a little bit.
Yeah?
Um, I've always liked gaming. Video games have kind of been my life. I like a lot of the sports. I do a lot of the Xbox Live and whatnot. But then you hit 30 and you kind of trying to expand and try to like find other
Yeah, for
hobbies.
sure. I feel you. I'm never gonna
And
stop playing video games, but
no, well, no, I
it's
mean,
not
I'm
everything
not
in
saying,
life, you know what I'm saying? You have to expand. You have to do something physical too. Fun.
yeah, I'm not saying stop. I'm not gonna stop either. I'm just,
Yeah.
there's I'm sure there's like it's just finding other new things to
What
like
what
and
what do you have
enjoy.
in mind? What would you like to try?
Um, right now it's I'm going to the start like I said started going to the gym a little bit in the mornings after I get off at work at like 6 in the morning, and right at 6 I'll be like going to the gym and whatnot, and
Wow.
I like it. I'm finding I've started seeing a little difference and feeling different, and that's something. It's just kind of like okay, I like this. I enjoy doing this.
Right.
So
Have you ever done like any type of exercise routine before? Before that?
with what do you mean with teams?
Oh, just like doing exercise or anything like that. Because I remember
I
back in the
have
day, I used to be very active. I always used to, like lift weights or anything like that. But I will
um
always be like on and off. But then I stopped,
I've been the
and
same.
I don't
I've
really
been
like physical activity that much, like exercising.
No, I've been the same. I've always been like super lazy and whatnot. But it's I think for me though, it's not the fact that I was so lazy. It's getting started. Because once you get started, it's
Right,
kind
I
of like
feel you.
once you get yourself in that habit, it's kind of like stop. It's hard to stop. But it's always me just finding that motivation to just start
That's good,
and
man.
whatnot. But I started 2 months ago, and I've been kind of doing it every morning and whatnot. So even on my days off, like the gym that I work at, they have like an app that you download on your phone, and you get like free like cardio videos that you can do from home.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
so it's even on my days off if I don't want to like drive because it's like a 35 minute drive to work. It's like well
Oh,
I'm not gonna drive almost an hour just to go to the I'm like I just pull up my phone and put a
yeah,
video,
that works, man.
put my headphones on and do some cardio, and that way you don't have to take like that rest day as people call it and lose that motivation of like doing it every day. So I obviously don't want to become one of those, like I'm not trying to become one of those like gym freaks for like bodybuilders like
Yeah. Yeah,
going,
I feel you.
but it's all like becoming just like healthier and
Yeah, it's a good habit, man. It's a good habit to
yeah,
have. Man.
yeah.
And have you ever thought about doing like I don't know, like an activity per se, like not doing exercise, but like maybe a sport or some sort of activity, like recreation,
Um, yeah, I've always wanted. I've always, like I said, I've always loved baseball. So it's like,
baseball.
maybe I should probably pick up like that as a sport. But it's like, where does one go other than your job? Like I know it's like a lot of places. It's mostly like your job will have like teams for like different sports, and they're like, but
Well,
it's
you
like
can just
where
look
do you go?
for, you can probably just look for in the internet, Google, and maybe you can, before even thinking about joining a team, start with taking some classes. Taking some classes, going to the batting range, you know, and maybe finding what type of position you like more. If you're a batter, if you're a pitcher, if you're gonna play the field. I don't know that much about baseball, right? But I guess that would be like I would do it that way, trying to identify. I would start with like yeah, like the basics, and then move from
Yeah.
there.
that's a way to start too. It's just kind of go online, I guess, and say, okay, where can I join to kind of like start, and just where do I begin?
But yeah, I don't really like to follow. I don't like watching sports, but I love playing. You remember? Did you ever get to play with us, like the made up
Oh,
baseball right in front of
oh
us
yeah,
in the house with those aluminum balls and tape?
I love it about. I remember I remember the geez, uh I remember playing right outside of grandma and grandpa's house, and
And that was
then
right in
I
the
think
street, dude. You can't do that nowadays. I remember like cars would pass by and we were little kids. We were like playing in between cars.
and then I remember hitting all the balls to like grandpa's like the roof of the house.
Yeah, that was the home
And
run. That was the home run, getting
yeah,
into the
and
roof.
there was I remember there was one year where it was me, Jay, and Grandpa were. It was mostly Jay and Grandpa. Jay was helping Grandpa fix, I think, the tiles and stuff like in the roof.
Oh yeah,
And I just
¿cómo se llama? Los shingles.
yes, like the shingles. I
Fuck.
go up there one year, and the amount of like those balls that we just found on the roof. I'm like, there's so many up here. And so I'm like, oh my god, like this has been here for years.
Oh.
And then I think that was funny. We're just sitting there talking, and
Oh.
Grandpa being Grandpa. He's
That
like,
was so
yeah,
fun. Grandpa was probably so proud because he loved baseball. He was probably like, yes, one day one of my nephews is going to go to the leagues.
yeah.
Uh.
Used to. I remember. I remember. I started working at Disney when I found out that what was going on down there and everything. And we had in one of the parks, I think we had a store that was mainly for like sports, and we actually had a wood turning little table,
Oh,
right?
really?
And yeah, I had like a nice little
Cool.
pixie glass where you can kind of just watch, and this guy, and it was like a wood turning, but he used to make baseball bats.
Right, baseball bats. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was gonna get him. Yeah, I was gonna for one of his birthdays. I was thinking of getting him like one of those like custom baseball bats, and I knew he would have. I knew he would have liked it, man. And just kind of have like either all their names on it or something cool like that.
Wow. Yeah.
And but then that's when grandma and dad we were talking. Yeah, grandpa's not doing so well and all this stuff. So I was like, well, can't really do that now.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he would have
But
loved
it's
it.
okay, man. It's okay. It's the thought that counts. He knows
Yeah.
one of the things he knows we loved him very much.
Oh,
He loved all of his how do you say it? How do you say nietos and nephews? No,
grandkids,
nephews no.
grandkids,
Grandkids. Yes. Jesus Christ.
grandkids.
He loved all of his grandkids. And that was one of his like
Yeah.
lifelong dreams. Really, he really wanted to spoil all of his grandkids. And he did. He gave us he was one of the greatest, one of the greatest in the world. And I would say all time. He really was. And all of them, all of our family, all of our grandparents have been amazing too. But he was just a special kind of person too. It was one of those things that goes beyond family because he was just genuinely like caring for everybody. He was very caring in the community. He was very active. He was a leader role. He was a model. He was such a good example of like how do you say this? Like a hard working good person. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how to explain it. It's just like if there's any example to follow is his example.
It's his.
Oh.
And what's super cool, and just one of those other, like, some days I'll be just sitting at home or at the gym and just kind of like grandpa would just pop in my mind, and I think like that's all the time, just think of all the good times we used to have as like kids and whatnot. and all the
Yeah.
stuff that all the nice little talks that grandpa would always have with us. I remember this one time too, with my younger sister when she was like little. I think she was like 5 at the time, and I think my mom went to go pick me up at grandma's house one day. One day I think we all went down for like vacation, and she went to go pick me up, and she went with my sister, and grandma went out to just say hi and everything and whatnot, and she saw my sister. She asked my sister, "Hey, you want some crackers and some like
They're always
some
offering food.
yeah no what yeah what's that drink that Crystal Light? She said, you want some Crystal Light and
Ay, Crystal
some
Light.
lemonade?
Oh my God, yes.
She's like, you want some
Que un
lemonade
poquito
and
de
some
Crystal
crackers?
Light, que no un juguito.
Yeah, and I think my mom had to go buy something or something. So she's like, yeah, can I, So we were all just sitting in the living room, me, grandma, grandpa, and my sister. And my sister, like eating crackers and butter, and no, she got to kind of talk to my sister and whatnot, and then my sister we were talking like a couple years later, and she remembered that, and it's sad because she never met either one of her grandfathers, and like either because
Really?
yeah, my grandfather and mom's side passed away when I was like 6 or 7, and so I didn't really know him that well either. And then her grandpa and my stepdad's side of the family died before either one of us were even born. So like
Yeah.
I never got to meet him either. So she's like, I never had it. She was like, it kind of just broke my heart a little bit. I was like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
And she was like, I really don't have a grandfather. Can I call your grandpa my grandpa too? I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, I'm sure you want to vibe. Like, hell yeah. And
Of course he is.
yeah, so I'm like, hell yeah, dude. But it's just just so innocent from like a little kid, and he was like, can I call him grandpa? So I'm like, oh yeah, dude. You know, I'm like, they love you. They always call you by name. Grandma always remembers her birthday
Of course.
because
Of
because like
course.
I remember my sister's birthday and grandma's birthday are always like the same day.
Oh,
So
really?
they always have to like make sure you wish your sister happy birthday and all this stuff, and it's just like that's just kind of like the impact he always had in our
Yeah.
family, and those are the things that always kind of like pop up in my mind all the time, and you kind of just you can't help but smile. It's kind of like that's kind of the guy he was, man.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Example, man. We gotta follow in that
you
example.
you start thinking, and you're like, man, if I ever get older, my goal is to become half the man he was.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
and
If I could become a quarter of the man he was, I would call that
we've
the
had a good
biggest
life.
success ever. Yeah.
So
Check it
that's
out.
just
Check it out. Boom.
oh my
The
gosh,
man
man.
himself. There he is in his prime. Look how young he looks.
Man, it's like there's a picture, and I know one of
He
us
looks
has
like a
to
lot
have.
like your dad.
I know, right? That
Well.
was I remember that. I remember we used to have that in wood, in a big wood.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I remember that one too. Yeah.
but
He was always very proud of all these accomplishments because he came from el campo, el vino del campo.
yeah,
Came from, I guess you could call it poverty,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like he literally, his childhood, I remember him telling me like he would always be like, and my dad used to carry this philosophy too. Always keep your shoes clean. Always have your shoes clean.
yeah.
And I still don't understand that philosophy.
I have no idea what that means, but
But
I know
all
what that
he
means.
always had something with having your shoes clean because it's like was it's like a presentation. It was like a representation of I guess of like it expressed something about your character, you know? And for example, when he had to go to school, he had to walk like 20 miles or something like that. And not only that, but he would carry his school shoes. He would carry them, and he would walk barefoot all the way. When he finally got to the school, that's when he put his shoes on, so the shoes wouldn't get dirty.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's it's. I guess there was like a saying too. Wasn't there like a saying back when like our parents were younger? I mean, I guess not now as often, but there was like a thing where it's like you can tell a lot by a person by how clean their shoes are or something.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It's something like that.
and,
Exactly. It's something like that. So it just, yeah, it represents character, which I think
yeah,
there's a lot of flaws in that argument, but it really referred to at that time, but
yeah,
those people at that time were going through, like for our grandpa would do that. He would walk so many miles just to keep his shoes clean without his shoes and then put them on when he arrives to
yeah,
school, because then he will have it clean. His uniform would be presentable, and he came from that to working in the government. He worked a lot. He did so much, dude. He opened so many doors for so many people. Like, you have
yeah,
no idea how many people this man helped in his career. It's amazing, dude. It's amazing. And he did also, he was a carpenter as well. He had an ability to work with his hands. And I think I got that from him as well. Or maybe I was just influenced by him when I was a kid, because I always loved working with my hands y haciendo invento y haciendo cosas. That's why I went to the workshop. But this man, without any education, really, without any formal education, he was just so fucking smart.
yeah.
You know what I mean? He was just a brain. Like, if he even had, like, if he would have been born today, I don't know what, you know what I mean?
Oh, dude, yeah. God knows where he would have been.
Or if he had more resources available, because I'm telling you, he was just so smart. But he was very simple, you know what I mean? Because he was
Yeah,
I don't want to say
very.
dumb, but it was just simple. It was always very simple because of his background, but he was so fucking smart, dude.
And you know what I picked up from him too, and I think the one thing that I try to use in my daily life too, is every day is never lose your inner child. Kind of like
Yeah, exact.
always,
That's what I'm
always,
trying to say.
always,
That's the
always,
simplicity. That's that.
always,
Porque él era medio bobito, él era medio loquito,
yeah,
he was
it's
always
never,
goofy.
yeah, never lose that. You can be professional, you can be a grown adult, but you gotta take life like a child sometimes, and just kind of like
Can't take it too
enjoy,
serious.
take enjoy life. Because it's like, what's the point of going from point A to point B? Point A being birth, and then point B being the day that you have to kick the bucket, and the end. What's the point of the in between if you are just so focused on the destination all the time? It's you gotta. There's a saying too: is you gotta stop and smell the roses sometimes.
Yeah.
It's,
I think
it's
I think he had that down. He enjoyed the simple pleasures in life, como la pastita de guayama.
Oh yeah,
Remember that?
oh yeah.
Eso
I
era, eso era después de la comidita, un poquito de pastita de guayaba, and he was in heaven. Like, he didn't
I
need anything else in life. He didn't need millions of dollars. All he needed era una comida con el aguacate, because
Yeah,
he needed the avocado, y
and
la pastita de guayaba. Yeah,
yeah, that's it.
that's it. He was the
And that was
happiest
it.
man on earth.
And I remember, I
It's so
remember when
fucking simple, dude. It's so
we,
simple. And we complicate our
we
lives so much. And this man was just
there was a
special
day,
man.
dude, it was
Special.
I must have been like 8, 7 or 8. I think they still lived upstairs where I think where
Oh,
your
yeah.
parents, and
El chalet.
Yeah, and they used to live upstairs and whatnot. And I was just staying over one night, and I'm over there sitting in the kitchen at like middle of the night. They're all sleeping. I just kind of wake up bored, and I was like, I get a glass of like a cup of water, and I just pour like the chocolate powder that you put like a milk into it, like the
Oh, like,
Nesquik.
quick.
Yeah, and I just put like some in the cup of water. I'm like, I'm just sitting there mixing, just like a little freaking typical kid, just doing experiment weird stuff in the kitchen. And he comes down, he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, just making chocolate milk, ha ha ha," you know. And he just gets it. He knew, like he knew what it was. It's like I'm gonna, you know. He's like, "You want, yeah, hold on, you want to try it?" And he just sits there and drinks it. I'm like, just simple stuff like that. I'm like, that's great.
Because it
That's
was
awesome.
supposed to be like a prank. Oh yeah, it's chocolate milk, but it's really
Yeah,
water with like.
it's chocolate powder, and he just sits there and he just drinks it, and I'm like, "Grandpa, you're the greatest." I swear.
Oh my god.
So even that, I'm like, that's just things that you're kind of like take throughout your life. I'm like, you just never gotta forget things like that. So just good
My
things to just make you
grandpas
laugh.
are a special thing. My grandpas are a special thing.
You know.
That's one of the things for me, like me at least, and my brothers and sisters are so fortunate because we had all four.
Yeah.
We had all four, and all four of them were just amazing. You know, Abuela Carmen también. Abuela Carmen, she's amazing. She's given us so much love, and she's had so much patience with us too.
You know what? You know what's great is you're thinking about your grandparents on your dad's side. Is I gotta give them props too, man, because
Oh yeah,
they
dude, Abuela Agustin. Abuela, they're
yeah
your
I
grandparents
was
too, bro. They're your
yeah
grandparents too.
that's what I was thinking too. Is the
They're your
amount of times that
grandparents.
I got to hang out on on Tio Juan Carlos' side of the family, they almost just seem. I mean, they seem just like our typical cousins and grandparents too.
Yeah,
You know, it's
they
like
were. They were. They are.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
you don't know that difference. They just kind of look at everybody kind of like, oh hey yeah, you can be our grandkids too. And I'm pretty sure Dave and Rocío saw that too. You know, because we all just kind of
For sure, bro. For sure. ¿Sabes cuántas veces
saw
Gabriel
that.
se quedó allí y con abuela Iri? Abuela Iri era loca con Rocío.
Oh yeah.
Abuela Iri adoraba a Rocío.
So it's just well, I mean we see everybody kind of like all of us is just kind of like just that close to where we were all just we might as well just have been blood related.
Yeah, definitely. I think we were closer than that.
Yeah.
It's just something that much special, you know. Not to take anything from that, but it's just the family, you know. It's just the way because in my girlfriend's family, it's very similar too. You know, it's once you have all that love and all that, it's very good. It's very nice. You know, family is a beautiful thing. And I remember growing up, ironically, it was like I hated family. I hated family events. I hated going to all these things. It was so
Mhm.
boring. All I wanted to do was play. But now, like going back and looking and thinking back, and Abuelo Agustín también, all the times that he took us fishing, you know, there's just so many things, so many good memories. You know, did you ever play Monopoly with us?
Oh yeah, I did. I remember was in
Las
Monopoly.
noches de Monopolio, el Parchisi con abuela, Guess Who. Tú
Yes,
con abuela Carmín eran locos con ese juego.
I still
Guess Who, no, Clue. Clue.
so
Clue.
till this day that will always be that thing I'm gonna die, and that'll still be my favorite board game ever.
You and grandma
And
loved that game.
I still do. That's like definitely that's my favorite board game. Oh, Clue, man. And I guess because we were so good at it. I'm like, I would tell grandma, I'm like, Grandpa, that's what it is.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah. You and grandma
and
were the
oh my
detectives.
god,
Oh, it was so good time, man. Family is very nice. I love our family.
it's funny. It's funny how you mention it. Ironically, how I think we low key kind of hated going to those family events, but now that we're older, I think we kind of look back and we thank them for making us go, because those are like
Yeah,
the
dude,
best
for
experiences
sure.
I know.
Definitely. Because if we didn't have all those experience, if we didn't, I don't know, man. Because that's one of the things that really, like, in the household per se, that didn't really affect me so much as the outside. That's one of it's funny, and it's sad too, because right now I'm very close to the nephews of my girlfriend, which are technically my nephews too,
Yeah,
Gabriel y Lucas, and I've been watching them grow up, and watching their parents, watching the angles, the parents' point of view, right? In the sense of the challenges that the child is going to have growing up and what they're exposed to and all that. And it's so hard, dude. I can't imagine how stressful or how, it must be to be a parent, because at every corner in the world is just like you want to protect your child, you want to protect your kid, but it's inevitable, right? And that's what happened to me. And when I would see other friends, I would meet with other friends, and this happened in elementary, and they would tell me what their lives were and how their parents were, and some of them were abusive, some of them weren't there, some of them never even met any of their grandparents. And I quickly realized how lucky all of us were to have the
yeah,
family that we had. Everything from cousins, uncles, grandparents, everything. How lucky we were, because the world is tough, man. Life is tough. Life can be very rough. Life can be very not pleasant. And we're
no,
very lucky. We're very lucky to have this family and to have all this and to have been able to experience all of this as well.
and that kind of goes back to like that first point that we were kind of making earlier about how it was like us growing up with like divorced parents or split parents, kind of going back and forth. I was still like it. I still think I had a pretty good childhood,
Bro,
despite.
you look great.
Well, thanks, man.
You look great. You turned out
But
great, man. You're doing
but
awesome.
despite sometimes the statistics of you see other kids with like divorced parents and they grow up to be kind of like tough because
It
they grew up
affects,
in
man.
that
It
kind of
affects. It's not easy, It's not
yeah,
easy, and it's especially while you're growing up, because everything you're so influenced by everything, and if it's not that, it's gonna be a heartbreak, which happened to me, like dealing with heartbreak and that side of being in love and all that shit. That fucked me up really bad. So it can go. You're up for
it can go
grabs,
either.
man. You're pretty much up for grabs from every angle. You're gonna
Yeah,
get fucked or some way or
yeah.
another.
Well,
But
life finds a way, man. But
but
no, it's you see the statistics. It's like, oh my god, you meet all these people like your age. I mean, there was a point when I was like in fifth grade, and we had a group of like all the kids that were like growing through like divorced parents, and it was kind of like a therapy kind of thing. Is we kind of just meet each other in this room with like a teacher, and we used to talk about
would
it's
that
kind
be
of like
easier on you guys, or would that like
no, I mean
emphasize what you're going through? Like, yeah, we're going through this.
yeah, like it's just kind of like talk about yeah, it's hard for us. I'm like I found it hard. I was kind of really blessed to just find it really hard to relate because it's like yeah, my parents are kind of like split, but they split when I was so young. I don't remember any like I don't essentially remember having a household because I was too young to remember what it
Right.
was to have a household with both parents. It's they were split by the time I was like 4. Like
I
I don't
remember
remember
any.
that.
Yeah.
I was like I don't remember that. I don't remember that part.
I don't remember.
And then, like I was like I barely remember what I did last week, man. I was like I don't remember that part back. So it's like, do I feel bad for these kids? Yeah, dude. Because it's like you don't wish anybody to go through like stuff like that. But when you grow up, it also helps when you grow up with parents that something that I've noticed is a lot of like divorced parents, they talk so much crap about the other parent.
Oh,
And
yeah. They actually present that in the Breakfast Club, where they use
yeah,
the child to spite each other, and then the child is
yeah,
just cut in the middle of it, where it's like,
yeah. It's you got dad with his new girlfriend and mom with her new guy boyfriend, and the mom and the boyfriend are talking about the dad, and then all this crap in front of the kid, and then the dad is talking to the
not
girlfriend, and all
right.
this crap about the mom, and so the kids are listening to all this stuff, and I was kind of lucky enough to where I grew up to where neither mom or dad talk crap about each other. They essentially talk good about each other. You know,
That's good. And
and
that's not easy either, man, because
you know,
it's easy to judge and point fingers at, oh, don't do this, don't do that, but relationships aren't easy either, and
but
especially, those grown-up situations and dealing with differences and whatnot. And sometimes I'm just giving the benefit of the doubt, sometimes people don't even notice the damage that they're causing to the other person, or the damage they're causing to the child. And yeah, it is what it is. There's no learning, there's no guidebook that comes with having fucking kids, you know what I mean?
there's not, man. And that's why I kind of like set it up for my like kind of like this thing for myself from like an early age. And you see this a lot with like, especially like, I think I notice it more on women. Like it's pressure on women to like, oh, you got to be married and start a family by like a specific age and whatnot. Like if you got to be married and with kids by the age of 30, and they put so much pressure on the especially like women to like just to have a family by like a certain like age. And I just kind of told myself from like a beginning, I'm like I love like it's like I love kids, and that'd be great to have my own kids at some point. But it's like don't think that I would. I don't think it'll be fair, like having a kid, and especially in this time of age where it's
Bro, if you
sometimes
ain't if you're not ready, you're not ready. That's it.
it's yeah,
That's what it is,
yeah,
man. Some people are ready as soon as they get out of high school. They're ready at 18. Some people are ready at 20,
yeah,
21, 22. You know what I mean? Some people are ready at 14, or they're forced to be ready.
yeah.
But
It's like I don't. You look around and how sometimes the world is, and you're like this is not a right place to be having kids, man. Like
I feel you, man.
sometimes this world is just not right.
That's one of the
But
things that bothered me a lot. Where when I was a kid, when I was growing up, I started to love my kids without them being born. Like I have so much love for them right now. And the thing that really bothers me is that I haven't found my place here in the world. I haven't found like stability. I haven't found something that works for me. And I have a lot of, how do you say this, like differences with the world, with society, with how it works, with how with reality, with the laws of physics, with the laws of life, with the laws of God, whatever you want to call it. I have a lot of, you know, objections, so to speak. And so I don't want to bring life to this when I feel like it's not worth it. I mean, but at the same time, that's my reality. That not might be the case for this life, and sometimes I guess it's I don't know. I guess it's really not up to you.
no,
As weird as
I
it
get it.
seems, because you're actually the one. It's on you and the other person to get together and form this.
Yeah,
But I don't know, man. I don't know. Life can be very tricky at times.
I've also heard people like that have become parents, and they always say like the same thing too is you're never gonna be ready to be a parent until you become a parent. It's like, you always before you're ever a parent, you always give yourself like that like, oh my god, I'm gonna be such a crappy parent because I don't have my own life together, or for whatever reason I'm gonna be such a shit parent. But then you have a kid, and then you kind of like force yourself to make that sacrifice and do whatever you can for that kid. It's you're never gonna think that you're gonna be a good parent until you become a parent. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess, but still, I'm good, man. It's if I'm not, like I said, if I'm not ready, if we're not ready, we're not ready.
Oh,
It
and
is
the
what
times
it
are
is.
changing too, because right now when you think about it, it's really like kind of stupid to have kids at a very, very early age. I mean, it makes sense biological wise, but in the sense of what you can offer the child economically wise, and even like wisdom wise, right? Because I don't know about you, but I'm 31, 32, and I still feel dumb as shit.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I still
Sometimes I'm
feel
like,
I still feel like I got a lot more to fucking learn, about this
oh,
game of life. I'm not talking
oh,
about academic or talking about like wisdom.
but I think that's gonna be the same regardless of whether you start a family or not. Because even when you do, I mean, you're gonna learn this. You're never gonna get to. I mean, it's impossible. It's gonna be like physically impossible to get to the point of life where you know everything. Because
Right.
it's just
Right.
there's always gonna be something to learn.
Yeah, touche. And
And that
and
and I
and
think
you learn as you go too, as you I guess raise the child and go through it, you then learn because you no matter how much you prepare too, you won't know until you're there. And that applies to anything really, any craft, anything that you want to do. The same principle applies. Won't really know until you do it.
and that's I mean that's also gonna kind of go back to the whole the world evolving and whatnot. I mean, as the world evolves, you always gotta learn. You gotta keep up with what's coming out. Technology's gonna be all new.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
And then you gotta learn that. So
The
and
rate the
that happens.
technology is evolving, I can't keep up, man. I already feel like an old man.
And as a person who kind of like who's worked on, like, and that also applies for like cars, for example, like,
Right.
you know 2020, let's say like you get a Honda Civic, for example. 2021 is going to be a little bit more advanced technology wise, so now you got to learn everything about a 2021 model, and it's just
Mm.
gonna go. It's just gonna be like that as like
The learning
until you.
curve just keeps getting.
It's you're never gonna learn everything. So always something new all the time.
All right, my brother. So I think we can call it a day for now. It's been
All
in
right.
now an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow, this has
I
been that
could
long
keep
already.
going for longer, but I think maybe keeping it close to an hour, hour and a half be better for our viewers.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. Thank you very
All right,
much,
man.
my cousin, my beautiful cousin. You're a beautiful man. I love
All
you.
right. I
Very
love you
proud
too,
of
man.
you. Um, I want to let you know that you're an example for me, following
Oh,
good work.
yes,
No pressure either, you know what I'm saying?
no, no, perfect. You
I
you
also
are too,
wanted to
man.
say something, forgot about these transitions, when you're making this move, or whenever you're gonna do like this big decision or anything, just remember it's not the end of the world.
It's not.
It's
It
not.
really isn't, man.
Unless the decision literally means the end of the world, but it's not the end of the world. Like life goes on no matter what happens. So sometimes it's good to just like relax and take it lightly. I mean,
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
those big moves like going to Michigan or going to California, take it lightly. Don't take it too serious.
Yeah, and sometimes families kind of family's always gonna be there to kind of give you advice and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's always gonna be, what's best for you.
Yeah, sure.
And what's best, what's best for your mental health and what's best for you. That's to be able to grow as a person.
Exactly.
So,
Finding you as you are as a person.
Sometimes the family will be able to give you advice depending on their life experiences, but at the end of the day, they can't grow like you. They can't make that growth for you. You gotta find what works for you, man. And the best you can do is just listen to their advice and learn how to apply that to your own life. And
wise words, my man. Wise words.
But other than that, man, it's been real.
For sure, man.
It's been awesome. You take it easy, man, and
we can do this again sometime. We can, because what I'm planning to do now, with each new guest, the first episode is gonna be like this, like an introduction with guests. You get to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your background, where you're from, and if you ever want to come back to the podcast, if you ever want to do another episode, then we can go into a specific theme, right? Talk about certain subjects and whatnot, and yeah, we'll go from there. So if you ever want to come back, you let me know. Want to talk about something specifically, and we'll do it.
All right, man. For sure.
All right, my cousin. Thank you for coming over. Thank you for being here present.
All right, man. Thank you for the invite, brother.
No, man. Anytime. I love you, cousin.
I love you too, man.
All right, man.
Sí, buenas tardes. Sí, licenciado, le estoy llamando en referencia para nuestra cita esta tarde. Pues vamos a darle hasta abajo. Vamos a darle hasta abajo bien duro. Sí, eso es así, licenciado. Eso es así. Vamos a ir hasta abajo. Hasta abajo en la aventura. En la aventura espacial. La aventura espacial conocida como la vida. Únete a nuestro equipo, licenciado. Únete. Bueno, ya vas a ver. Verás cuando llegues a la cita y veas todo lo maravilloso que hay en esta nave llamada Voyager OZ 13MS. Móntate aquí y no miren más para atrás. Pues eso es así, licenciado. Nos vemos allá a la misma hora, ya usted sabe. Y vamos a ir hasta abajo.